Yeah, there's a 30-second delay on YouTube. So they're already seeing this.
Oh, okay. If you guys want to watch this live, you can head to the Brandon from Vegas YouTube and ask your questions there. If you're watching on TikTok, you know the drill. Stick around.
You're live.
Live? What's going on, you guys? My name is Brandon from Vegas, and welcome back to Real Estate 101. Won't you be my neighbor? Today, we are going to do a live real estate consultation called Can a Content Creator Buy a Home? Our goal today is to sit here with our lender, Bill, and myself, and Alexandra. Don't call her Alex.
Do not.
And we are going to figure out if this gentleman next to me, Austin, can buy a home. We're going to go through his credit, his income, his debts, and then I'm going to break down the home that he could possibly afford to find the best house for him. It's going to be really interesting. I'm live to do this. Austin, thank you for joining us, brother.
I didn't sign off on this. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
So, Austin, what is your ultimate goal? Why is it that you want to buy a house?
Because I don't want to have to worry about my mortgage or rent payment going up every single month and then kind of being able to do whatever the hell I can and what I want with my property.
Yeah.
Also, we've said it multiple times on this show. It's arguably the best investment you can make.
Yes.
And I think it would go a long way in terms of my long-term financial goals of like building wealth and having assets that do something for me, not just sit in a driveway and then get diminished by half when I drive it.
Sure. What is your current status? Are you single? You got a girl?
Yeah. So I'm in a relationship. We have a child together. Tax filing, head of household. Make sure we get that out of the way. Filing head of household and taxes. But
Hey.
as of right now, it's a single income family, which is me.
So you're the modern millennial man, or Gen Z man in your case, right?
Yeah.
Where you seem to be carrying a lot on your back, and you've got a lot of pressure to not just succeed, but provide for others, right?
Correct.
And you guys got a kid, which means there's a little bit of extra pressure on you to provide a better quality of life, right?
Definitely, yeah.
Okay, so it's a huge motivation for you to do this.
Yes.
It's perfect. So for you guys to know in advance, because we obviously can't pull the numbers up live, there's a bit of research involved. Bill, our lender Bill, has already started working on a lot of Austin's numbers in advance. We're going to go over those today, and we're kind of going to see where he's at, where he needs to go to get the place that he wants. And I think this will be pretty interesting. So, Bill, let it rip.
Okay, so Austin.
Uh-oh. The way you looked at me and said that.
Awesome.
By the way, I love your hat.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Oh.
we didn't even
address that.
My goal was to just not even acknowledge it. It was just...
It just went right over. Like, happy birthday to Bill.
Happy birthday, Bill.
Happy birthday, Bill.
You said it's
Thank you.
the 75th anniversary of your 25th birthday?
Exactly. Yeah, pretty close
Boomer
to
Bill.
that.
Boomer Bill.
Boomer Bill, right here.
So is today actually your birthday?
It is today. It is
Wow.
actually today.
Actually
Yep.
today.
So what was
I'm loving
it like when the printing press first came around?
Well, in elementary school, I remember we had typing class on a real typewriter.
Right.
And I also remember they had this basically where they carbon. It was like carbon. Where they would make the worksheets for us to work on. And it smelled so good. It was just amazing.
And this is why a lot of boomers have a lot of anger issues because there's just carbon and lead in the
Carbon,
air.
The air, right? Yeah,
we
everything.
probably had a lot of
Carbon.
that.
How was Jesus?
He's pretty chill.
That's good.
He's chill.
Handsome or?
Yeah, very handsome young man.
So, Bill, when you went through Austin's numbers, what is something that stood out for you, right? When you're doing any consultation, what are the first things that you're looking for?
Yeah, so I talk about three things, right, Austin?
Yep.
Credit, income, assets. I call it the CIA analysis. And I liken it to a three-legged stool. You need to have all three legs to make a stool stand, right? Sometimes you have one leg that's short. And when the leg is short, the stool is kind of wobbly. So when we get a mortgage, we look at those three things, credit, income, and assets. And sometimes one of the legs is short.
Yeah.
And so in Austin's case, he had a couple of legs that were short.
When I eat too many prunes, I have wobbly stool too.
So it's just trying to basically, and a lot of people just don't know where they're at. And so this was a very good starting point. And I'm, honestly, I want Austin to be patient at the same time, but I'm impressed that he's 27 years old and actually going to try and buy a house. The average first-time home buyer, 34 years old.
Yeah, that's a big stat that we discussed on a previous episode, is that the Gen Z buyer is actually buying houses sooner than their parents and grandparents. There's this idea that Gen Z is like behind the game, or maybe houses are unattainable for them. But the average millennial and then I guess Gen X was buying houses somewhere around 31 to 32, whereas with Gen Z, they're starting in their 20s. So we're actually
Yeah.
seeing a growth in housing.
Wow.
Yeah.
They want to see it. They want to do
That's
it, which is great.
incredible.
Yeah.
I love hearing that.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
But they don't have patience.
No, we don't. We don't. We
Yeah.
definitely don't have patience.
Yeah. That's also the problem. I think because Gen Z grew up with social media, right?
Instant gratification.
They want instant gratification. They see 19-year-old millionaire drop shippers, and they think,
Yeah.
well, why don't I have
can do
a
it
mansion
too.
in Miami, right, by 19, stuff like that.
That sounds like too much of a headache, though. A mansion in Miami. The
That
water levels
sounds
are going to
great.
rise in like 4 years. It's going to be waterfront property or water-filled property. But that's neither here nor there. But I do understand because I have been that way, and talking to Bill a lot, I have chilled out in
Yes.
terms of like, okay, it's a journey. It's
okay.
not a sprint.
Correct.
It's a marathon we're doing here.
So let's talk about your income. That's
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that we focus on first because we'll get into debt to income ratios. Now tell us a little bit about your job,
Mm-hmm.
what you do, how you're paid, all that good stuff.
Yeah. So, and this goes back to when you are looking for a house, you have to have 2 years of consistent, either same job or same field, correct?
Industry.
Yeah, same industry.
So you're self-employed.
Correct. Yeah.
So talk
that's what I was
about
getting at.
1099
Yeah.
income.
So I've been 1099 since 2022. I worked at a studio that paid me as a 1099, and then at kind of first quarter of this year, I left that situation and started up my own business, which I partnered with Rob, and so now I own a podcast post-production business. I also own a content business. It's one of my content venues, makes enough to where I have to file a, LLC and everything, but I'm still 1099. I still pay myself from the business as 1099. Hopefully one day S corp.
Did you create an S corp? Did you create an LLC?
No, because I have an LLC for both of them.
Okay.
The S corp, I've been told I don't quite make enough yet to offset like the costs of having the S corp. We're getting there though. I mean, we're not far from
Yeah.
that level. I mean, but my income has drastically gone up in the last 3 to 4 months.
Okay, which is awesome,
Mm-hmm.
right? So what we do as lenders, we look at the last 2 years' income, and it primarily comes from the tax return. So you could be having an awesome year this year, but if it's not on a tax return, it's not income technically that we can use.
Right.
It's really used as it basically verifies that you're still making money. So we would look at, in your situation, 2023 and 2022 income. And do you know what you reported on those two tax returns?
I do, because we went over it. I believe last year, I think it was like somewhere between 23 and 26,000 of taxable income.
Mm-hmm.
And then the year before is where I got hung up, and why we're in this situation now is the studio I worked at they weren't communicating on the finances part, and they only reported that I think I made like $9,000.
Yeah.
So it was like under double digits for that year. So that's what's holding me back, which is why, and people don't know this yet, but we're waiting for the next tax cycle to kind of get into,
So we can average it.
yeah.
One of and this is a big tip for anybody watching this. If you heard what Bill said, they go off your last 2 years, right? Your last 2 years. So if you had a big year, or if you feel like a big year is coming, there's nothing wrong with waiting for that big year so you can get approved for a higher amount, as long as you have a game plan, right?
And that's what we're doing currently. That's kind of what we've discussed.
Because
I,
go ahead.
I have a question for you on the 2 years. Is it the last 24 months or is it the last fiscal?
It's 2 years, okay, that they have to be self-employed. Now, generally, what ends up happening is you need to have 2 years of tax returns.
Okay.
Okay.
I think that's
So-
a good clarification, because if somebody starts their business in May,
Yeah.
they're like, I've been employed for 2 years, but you haven't paid
paid
taxes
tax
See,
for 2
and
years.
this is what one of your employees that was actually kind of helping me at the beginning was a little worried about, because I technically started the LLC in May, but I was
There we
still
go.
1099.
Right.
I think it was just under but it's
Yeah.
the same industry, it's the same profession.
Right.
It's just
content creation.
correct. Yeah, content creation. And so, but I was still 1099. I didn't change industries. I have
You moved up.
yeah. And
One
like,
of-
sorry, go ahead.
One of the biggest issues people face is they think that they need 2 years at the same exact job. But truthfully, it's being paid the same way for 2 years, right? So even though you were in content creation, going from getting paid one way to then being 1099 or self-employed, it changed your payment status, right? That is something that can hold a lot of people back as well.
Right. Which is why I'm glad that we're doing this now, because I've been 1099 since 2022. So I already have 2 tax returns to show that I've been 1099. It's just
You want this one.
yeah, I want
2024.
I want 2024's tax return because that one's going to be good.
And you made a good point, right? It's the net income after you
Correct.
basically make deductions.
Because
a lot
you-
of 1099 come to me and they go, Bill, I make $10,000 a month. And I go, that's great. How are you paid? 1099. I said, what does your tax return say? Well, I only show about $20,000 because
yeah.
they write everything
Everything.
off. And so so it's not income that we can use for qualification.
Yeah.
Can you go back and edit that?
You can.
Isn't
you
that
could,
tax fraud?
You could No, you can always
okay.
refile taxes.
That's, yeah.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
But then the
And-
government,
back and edit that.
wants their
Then
money.
they-
Then you have to pay.
You have to
yeah,
pay.
you got to pay up.
But
Is there a
there's-
way? Or is there a way around that to say, oh, I forgot that I?
There's no way around. I just did this year, so
Okay.
I'm kind of familiar
You
with
kinda
it.
know, yeah.
When we were trying to buy our house, we had a huge issue with the IRS because I'm a realtor. So for the past 3 to 4 years, I've had to write certain things off, let certain things go. And the easiest solution was to literally for me to hand the IRS $16,000 in their office to just go give them a check to cover for what I refiled, right? So I wanted my 2022 to show more money. So they were like, okay, well, that means you owe us $16,000 based on your refile.
Right.
Yeah.
The IRS,
Ow.
the solution with the solution with the IRS is more money. That's always the answer.
Yeah, but you can absolutely refile.
Yeah, that's
say
I did not
that
know
I
that,
didn't
so that's
report
good
it
to
all,
know.
and there's
Yeah.
things that you can
That's
do.
something I wanted to
But
bring
it's
up.
money out of pocket, right? So it's a balance as a self-employed 1099.
So
Do I
please book your
report
podcast
income?
with
Do I
CC
not?
Media so I can refile my taxes.
But what I do a lot with clients is when we know that we need a tax return that has more money or that shows a bigger net, I'll talk to them like in December or January and say, okay, for you to qualify for this type of home, you really need to show an income of, $75,000 this year. And they may go, wow, I'm going to have to pay taxes on that.
That's where
right?
I'm at, which is
And
what I
it's
wanted to ask.
Yes, but sometimes it's kind of up to the individual for them to go ahead and make their tax return the way they want it.
Right.
And just obviously it's got to be legal and all that good stuff. But it's a balance.
So
Do you want a house or do you want to pay less taxes?
Yes.
Right. So I have a question for you then, because this is something I'm going to have to deal with. Like, I have one big write-off, and for me, big write-off is under $4,000, but it's in one chunk. I know you can, especially it's a computer, so I know with that you can actually list it as like you're not writing it all off in that first year. You can have it like
It's
should I do
depreciating.
that for that write-off so it's not as big up front?
Yeah, normally you would do the full write-off, but I would definitely look at amortizing it.
Okay, so that way
Report
year
it,
over
but
year.
amortizing it. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a much less.
Out of your 3-legged stool, when you went over Austin's financials,
Yes.
right? What would you say is the stool that is the strongest for him, and what leg of that stool would you say is a weak point for him to work on, since we have a year until he files next year?
Yeah. So there were 2 legs that were kind of short. One was the income, and there's ways to kind of try and create income
Yeah.
with, in Austin's case, a cosigner
Yep.
that comes in. And then 2 is credit. So his credit was low in regards to being able to qualify for an FHA loan. Minimum is 580. Now, he does have a great leg, which is his assets. Fancy word for money. So he was able to actually put some money into an account due to an unfortunate accident, but he has money that he can use for the down payment. And that many time is one of the biggest
Yes.
hurdles.
Yes. Money is, especially from Vegas, money is always king, right? If your credit is a little dinged and your current income is a little short, but you got a ton of money, we can find a way to make this work for you.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing is sometimes, people, income you can't really change a lot,
Yeah.
if you will. In Austin's case, he can because he's working his butt off and he's making it happen and
Yeah.
he's getting new clients. But if you're in a salary job, sometimes it's kind of steady.
one of the big things we talk about here, and one of the big things I yell about people every day on live, is it is much easier to save money than making more money. To make more money, you have to develop new skills or apply those skills in a different way. Austin's actually doing that right now. I commend you on that all the time. We're on camera, so I have to be a bit of a dick to you. But,
Of course.
But off camera, it's something I commend you. You have a skill for editing and you have parlayed that into your own YouTube channel, doing your own content creation. You've done the hardest thing. You have developed new skills and applied them in a new way, right? Do you feel like you're doing a good job of saving money? And if not, why?
Rob's looking at me because I paid $60 for something the other day.
What'd you buy? What did you buy?
It was my hobby. So I am really into film photography. So I got 3 cameras with shipping for about $60 off eBay.
Okay.
I saw that on Instagram.
Yeah. I love them. They're so cool.
New shoes.
I had to, okay. Well, yeah, I have to support my feet.
Are they Vans?
They are Vans. They're these ones that I'm wearing right now. They're white.
But I'm
I
going
never
to give
wear
him a
white Vans.
break because he's already got his money in the bank.
Yeah, and so what I did, and so that amount is not quite as accurate because I did take a good amount of that, and I started paying down debts, which helps my credit, which I feel like it's a proper term. If you have debt, that's negative savings.
Yeah.
I definitely want to chime in though, because I know Bill talks about this a lot. Paying down debt doesn't necessarily help you qualify for a mortgage.
Correct. I'm paying
So,
down what they told me to
Okay,
pay down.
excellent.
Yeah.
Because I definitely want to get that asterisk in there for people that are listening because
Yes.
you think let me pay off this parking ticket that I don't remember from 7 years ago,
I
and
ain't
that
getting no money.
actually can hurt your credit.
That's a great point because I hear from people, I'm just waiting to clean up my credit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, stop, let me look at
Yeah.
it so
Look at
that
it
we can
first.
know
Because
what to
sometimes
do.
it reactivates it.
Because there were things that I was like, I should pay this off, and you were like, I wouldn't even touch it. Not because it would hurt me, but you're like, why just put that money in the account? It'll serve you better there. This isn't going to hurt your chances of getting a mortgage.
I think this is time for our TikTok clip of the day, our first one. So here we go. Professional right? You guys ready for this? Everybody get ready. Get ready.
Did he get his boomer thing out though?
No. He's not a boomer yet. This is serious lender stuff, okay?
Hoover yet.
A lot of people waste time paying off debts that they don't need to before buying a house. Bill, what would you say the 2 biggest debts people need to stop worrying about to get a house?
Medical collections and collections, period.
We don't give a shit about medical collections around here. Ain't that right,
There
Bill?
is no deduction for medical collections.
Yeah.
It can impact your score, but we do not count that. Collections, we have to look at anything less than $2,000. We may not even need to pay off.
I hope everybody heard that. That's a great TikTok clippable. You'll be seeing that on all my stupid pages here in the next few days.
Another one that's important, that this is not the clickable or the TikTok,
Yeah.
but a car payment that is less than 9 months.
Car payment less than 9 months.
So if you owe
Don't
9
pay
months,
it off.
if you owe 9 months on your car, don't. Let me just pay it off. No,
Okay.
because that doesn't.
I don't even have a car payment.
That's good.
awesome.
That's my next thing I was going to ask you about.
Yeah.
Is what your monthly debts that you're incurring. You have a kid, so you have the ultimate monthly debt, and then you have.
Yeah, that's just a hole that just.
And
So let me back up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So in Austin's case, if we were to qualify him right now, he's got, we've got about an estimated $1,900 of income that we could potentially use for Austin.
Which is, and to let people know, that's based on the tax return. That's not accurately what I make now, but because of how I'm paid,
Yep.
that's how that's how they're
From a
going to look at it.
qualification standpoint,
Yeah.
that's what you make.
Because you could be 1099 and make $8,000 a month, but then on your taxes, it shows you it averages out that you make 1,500 or 1,900 like me.
as I tell all of the exotic dancers who come applying for loans, you don't get to make the money and then hide it from the government and then also get the government loan, right? Like there's at certain point
They're gonna
They're
get you.
gonna
at some
get
point.
you got to show them the money.
But a lot of times too, they write everything off to zero, and they don't need to because there's a minimum tax write-off for everybody, so they could report some income and still not pay taxes on it. Yeah. So it's and
Tax
we go
evasion.
through that. So the next thing is credit. He's at 576. That's where we were,
and that
he's
made me
been
feel good
working
because
on
we're
that
not
right now.
we're not far from it. It wasn't like I was at like a
580 is the
400 and-
minimum. 580 is a minimum. So his credit was a little bit low. He's working on that right now, correct?
Yep.
Yeah. Paid some things off.
Paid some things off, paid down some of the debts that I did have, so that way they report lower, so it helps my debt to income.
And then the income, you're working on that.
Yep.
You'll get to the end of the year. We'll talk about what you're going to file for 2024 and what kind of income you have there,
Yep.
right? So we've got that. Then we ended up looking at adding a cosigner,
Correct.
and it would be probably a family member of some type. We put some estimates in for that. That makes a huge difference for him. And so the cosigner that we were talking about would be making about $7,000 a month, plus Austin's $1,900 a month.
How does that work for people in the audience or people watching right now on live or YouTube? How does that work when you add a cosigner? How much of their income gets to be put towards yours, and how does their credit balance out against your credit?
Great question.
It's a perfect question. In fact, I had a client this morning call me, and they're in a relationship, but they're not married. But we can use them as the cosigner as long as we can establish a relationship. And you use their income, but you also have to include all their debts, and sometimes their assets too, right? The assets can come into play as well. So, but we have to deduct out all the debts. And in the situation with Austin, so if we look at his income, total about $9,000 a month, we can generally go up to, depending upon algorithms and all that stuff, somewhere close to 50% debt to income ratio. 49.5% is pretty typical
For the mortgage price.
for the overall debt, max
Right.
monthly debt. So 49.5% of 8,983 is $4,447 that you could spend a month on all credit debt: house, cars, credit cards, student loans, personal loans, all that good stuff.
Phone bill.
Phone bill. Well, that's not one thing. That's not a credit debt that we count against you. That's
Right.
part
Even
of
if
the
it
other.
goes to collections and it's under 2,000, supposedly.
Yeah. So in Austin's case, 4,400 plus a month on all credit debt. Then we go to the credit side. What kind of debts do you have? And so in Austin's case, he's doing really well. He's got, one credit card, about $3,400, pays $180 a month.
Yeah, I have a loan that it's less than that now. I'm actually being more aggressive with that. I'm actually trying to pay like $200 to $250 a month on that. So I'm speeding up and paying down the principal quicker on it.
Which will help your credit.
Yep.
With the debt utilization. Then you have a small another account for $400 credit card.
And this was done months ago. So at this point, that balance is at like $60 to $80.
Okay,
revolving a month.
That's gonna.
From the realtor side, what are you mainly using your credit card for?
I'm actually using it for like gas. I'm not using it for things I don't need. I'm using it for like gas, groceries, because I do get cash back on it.
Okay.
And then what I'm doing is I'm instantly just paying it off.
Good.
So that way, but I am keeping a balance. I'm not at the limit balance, but I am trying to keep around a $40 to $60 because then that it's less than or around the 10% utilization, which is what I've heard you should have on it at revolving, just because then it does better for your credit score.
Yes.
But so yeah, I'm not going out and being like, I'm gonna go to Louis Vuitton today. No, I'm gas, cool. And I'm actually kind of double dipping because you can get apps that give you cash back through them, then I get cash back through the credit card too. So you kind of double dip the cash back.
You've developed a side hustle, ripping off mobile apps.
My $80 a month that I spend with them is not going to make a dent in their profit and loss.
So, and then you also have student loans, which are very typical
And
for
they just
many,
got
many
deferred
people,
again.
right? So, and that's about 40,000.
Yep.
40,000.
That's
in
dropping
student
out,
loans.
folks. Don't go to college.
But from a mortgage standpoint, qualification standpoint, because all student loans were all kind of jacked up throughout the United States, the way they were doing it, we take 0.5% as a minimum payment on the outstanding balance of the student loans.
Repeat that again, Bill. Repeat that for dum-dums.
Hold on. We have a question.
I got a question in the chat, guys. Can couples have another cosigner as well?
100%.
And couples have another cosigner.
So you could have three people. So somebody asked if a couple can have a cosigner on top of them. So you could have three people on the loan?
You could, as long as they're a family member.
Right. So like, let's say
Or
it's a husband and wife, and then the husband's mom or dad or whatever is going to come in on it as well.
Yes. Yep. So, but to repeat the student loan, so student loans are counted despite being deferred or not
Right.
deferred.
Okay.
It's a 0.5% of the outstanding loan balance
It's a lot.
on a payment.
So
It's
let's say-
$200 a month. So you owe 40,000 and we're only counting $200 a
No,
month.
right. Yeah. It's better
That's
than
pretty
counting
good.
40,000.
Because this could be like $800.
Yeah.
Could
So
be.
it's a pretty good benefit.
Yeah.
just
God, he went to
0.5%.
UNLV, right?
I know. I went to Folsom. I went to a for-profit university. That's why it's 40,000 after I dropped out.
Oh, God. Okay.
Regret.
So, but that's okay. You learned
okay.
that wasn't your thing. So,
Yeah, I needed to become a business owner, and then I'm gonna get the license plate that says dropout. And people go, "You see, I'm gonna drop out of high school." No, don't drop out of high school. That's not what that. That's not what that means.
The high school dropout, my next rap album.
That's our next qualification.
and then we had the debts for the family member, right? So the family member had, actually quite a few debts, and they totaled about $2,100, almost $2,200 a month.
Okay.
That included their mortgage, cars, some personal loans, some credit cards, that kind of stuff. So
Not bad.
yeah, so that's
What was
there.
mine again? The total for mine, because that was with my family member.
Technically, you're about 380
Is debts.
is debts.
Okay.
300 or 3,000?
380.
I was like, damn.
Well, I wanted to clarify
Well, yeah.
for people. Yeah.
Yeah. So then we take the income, the $9,000 dollars a month, the max debt $4,400 a month, less his current debts, and that was out at about $2,400 a month. So he technically could spend around $2,000, $2,100 a month, somewhere in there. And that's what we look at as a max mortgage payment.
And can you explain the DTI, debt to income ratio, and why that is the max mortgage payment? Because that's a little confusing as well. Because they would see, oh, well, if we have $8,000 a month, why is it I can only spend $2,000?
Yeah. Because I know that Austin would like to,
Spend $8,000 a month.
Well, no, because I'm also thinking about the payment too.
you're being very reasonable.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I'm not trying to go get the house Brandon got or Bill's house. I'm trying to get the nice little townhouse, which I think is a great thing. You tell people is it's okay to start in a condo or a townhouse
100%.
because it's not going to be my forever home. I mean, ultimately, my goal is to live in it for 5 to 7 years or whatever, and then either take out the equity or get another home loan and then rent out that first home.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
then it's income.
Keep going.
So debt to income is basically your monthly debt, house, cars, credit cards, student loans, divided by your income.
But what's the ratio? Because different loans have different ratios.
So in general, we run it through AUS, which is automated underwriting system, and it's just a computer algorithm, put the input, and then it spits out. And what we have found is that we can generally go up to 49.5%.
49.5%.
If we have to do a manual underwrite, where because Austin's credit doesn't meet the guidelines or we don't get an automated approval, then we go down to 43%.
Okay.
Now, can we explain this? Because this was a question I had because I was like, well, I'm bringing in a cosigner. His credit is really good in terms of a score. I think he's in like the 7s, but we're not going to use his score in terms of the mortgage. What do you use?
So we use the lowest middle FICO. So the family
Between the
members,
two people.
between the two people, anybody who's on the loan. So the family member was about almost 750.
Right.
Yours was 576.
Right. So we would go with
So
the
we would
middle
go
of
with
me.
576.
That's actually really huge for people to know.
Yeah.
Right? And this is one of the big reasons we always advocate people to use cosigners if you have them. If your parents have good credit, use that good credit. The difference between what's going on, Robert?
Another question. How long after applying or getting pre-approved does your credit recover? I know it takes a dip. So just repeat that question.
So what we do is we do a pre-approval and we do what's called a soft pull, which is no hit to the credit.
And the question was, just so people could hear it,
Yeah.
Question was how long does your
How
credit
long-
recover after they apply?
how long
do
does
pre-approval?
how long does your credit?
How long does it take for your credit to recover after
After a
getting
pull.
pre-approved? But you were just saying it's a soft pull.
It's a soft pull, so there's no recovery. So, and if you do decide and you get pre-approved and you want to go buy a house, then we would eventually do what's called a hard pull, and that's generally a 3 to 5 point hit dip.
Yeah.
So it's not even that bad.
It's not that bad.
And I want to clarify on getting your credit pulled because it is categorized differently. So if you go down here to fashion show mall down here on the strip, and you go, okay, I'm going to go to Victoria's Secret and get a credit card. I'm going to go to Macy's and get a credit card. I'm going to go to Saks and get a credit card. I'm going to Nordstrom's and get a credit card. And they pull your credit card, your credit all the way down the mall. Well, you're going to get dinged pretty hard for all those dings, right? Because you can actually accumulate like 7 credit cards in one day. You go to buy a car or you go to buy a house, those credit hits don't hit you the same way that going to the mall does and qualify.
I feel like it's because like with the mortgage, they want to get you approved.
They want to get you a house.
The credit card, the Victoria's Secret card, they just have to meet a quota.
They don't care about the push up.
Yeah.
No.
You're not going to get 5 mortgages.
Other than a bra,
you're
you know?
shopping
Yeah.
for
just
the
got
mortgage.
it.
Yeah.
Right. But that's something that I think is important to realize because we hear, oh, pull the credit card, pull the credit. I don't want that. Take a deep breath. It's
It's a necessary evil, and it's not even that big of
There's
an
a
evil.
difference.
Guys, there's a difference between pulling your credit through Credit Karma or some online
Don't
website
use that score.
and speaking to a lender.
Yeah.
If you are serious about purchasing a home now or a year from now, call a lender, preferably Bill. That way we can get you going, get you ready. And the ding is not only minimal when you go through a lender, but it bounces back much quicker because on the credit side, it shows that you are putting your checks towards getting a house.
Mm-hmm.
So they want you to do that. They want you to have a mortgage, so they're not going to hit you as hard.
You're rewarded.
Stop using credit. I know why you guys use Credit Karma. It's 'cause it's safe and it's convenient. You don't have to call anybody, and that's scary. Just pick up the phone and contact a lender. It's not hard. Bill is not a scary guy. You don't have to be a pussy, Gen Z. Just do what you're
Follow
supposed
me.
to do.
I wasn't scared. But also I think Credit Karma is useful not because of the score, but it's good for monitoring. Because it tells you, oh, something just happened to your credit,
Yeah.
or like, oh, a collection fell off, or a collection was added. I think it's good for that. I don't use that score
I
to
agree.
base my decisions, but I think it's
agree
good
with
for
that.
monitoring.
Yeah, but I understand what he's saying. But we look at it we do a soft pull, and it's not it doesn't hit their credit.
Yeah. So, Bill, you would say he would be at about $2,200 a month is what you would give him right now. Based
Probably
on
2,100. Yep.
2,100. Okay.
Yep.
So
He's got and in terms of money in the bank, what we had here.
That's so. I
I
mean,
don't know if it's adjusted or not. But
it is, but I have dedicated money. So I mean, at the time
So-
we put about 40,000.
we put 40,000.
It's less than that, but it's still a significant amount. We're looking at about 15 to 20 right now
15 to 20,000
for just down payment, closing,
okay.
all that stuff.
But do you have more money in the bank?
Yeah, I think right now we're almost at about 30,000
Okay.
in
That's
total right now.
Because we look at reserves too, right?
Right.
Having a little extra after closing can actually
Yeah,
help
like the 15 to 20
algorithm.
is in its own CD right now because I don't even want to think about touching it. So I put it in a CD I think it's 3 months for 5%.
It's
Okay.
awesome.
So, and then when it runs out, because we're still going to have some time before I can apply again, I'm just going to roll it into another one.
Okay.
All right. So, what we've done on this side, right? Because me and Bill form a team. Whenever you contact Bill and he runs you through his consultation, the next thing Bill does is he contacts me. He says, Brandon, I have good news. We've qualified the client. They qualify for this much money. He either tells me a mortgage amount or a housing price amount. The reason it matters is because if you qualify for the mortgage amount, I can find you almost any house as long as we can negotiate the deal to make your mortgage fit. When Bill qualifies you for a housing price, it means we cannot get you money loaned for anything above that number. All that matters for me is how I negotiate your deal, right? So for Austin, he was looking at around $2,200.
So that would, on an FHA mortgage,
Yeah.
would translate to around 300,000.
That's perfect. That's literally what we have in front of us right
Yeah.
now. Your home value, especially with your down payment, is about $300,000, right?
Right.
In the current market, that means we are allowed to go up to about $310,000 when we're looking for a home.
Okay.
Because we either can negotiate the $10,000 down, or we can negotiate closing costs to lower your mortgage payments for you.
Right. And that's where this guy Brandon here, and that's why you should book with
Master
him. That's why you should get
negotiator right there.
him.
Bam.
First, you got to go to this guy who's the most interesting man in mortgage. Then you go to right over here, Mr. Brandon from
This
Vegas.
is a true story. We just got a seller to pay my entire full commission, all 3%, and pay an additional $19,000 in closing costs on top of that, and pay their own escrow fees. So
There's a reason why I do
Listen
the
up,
show.
folks. this guy knows how to negotiate.
Yeah,
I've
pretty
seen
good.
it so many times.
pretty
And he knows how to
helps
eat
the
too. He knows
clients
where to go. He
get what they
knows the spot.
They-
knows
they-
He's
where
dual
to
threat.
eat.
They know I know how to eat. There's cake. There's cake behind me. So what I've done for you, Austin, is I've broken down a map of not only houses that are 300,000, but you told me earlier you have a wife, you have a kid, you probably want at least 3 bedrooms, right?
I ideally, in a perfect world, and here's the thing is, I think this is something people also need to be aware of. I am okay with understanding where I'm at. I know I can't afford the 4-bedroom house, 2-car garage, all that stuff. At the very minimum, for me, it's a 2-bedroom. Ideally 3, so that way I can have a home office, because I do a lot of my work from home.
Yeah.
But I also understand, because of the pricing, that may not be available at the time. So if the hard no or deal breaker is 2-bedroom.
Yeah.
2-bedroom, because I need at least a bedroom for us and then a bedroom for
The kid.
little man.
Yeah. Well, this is one of the benefits of me knowing you, but this is, again, why we do consultations, because it's
Right.
not just about what house you're looking for, it's about what your lifestyle is. I
Right.
know that you create content. I know you most likely need a media room. I know the 3rd bedroom is of utmost importance to you, right?
Right.
And this is where knowing you and having a consultation in advance is really helpful. I've narrowed it down to 3-bedroom, either townhomes or condos across the city that I believe are within our negotiable price range, right? And from there, I've narrowed down areas. You have a kid. I can't put you in any area that has a higher crime rate, or you're allowed to go on Google and check the pedo list.
You should. No, you absolutely should.
You can. You literally can do that. So because I know that list by heart, because I check it for every client, I have narrowed down a list for you of areas in the city that have the house you're looking for at the price range you're looking for. And what we found for you is this: there's some places in Lone Mountain,
Which is a great area.
It's a great area. There's some places in Aliante.
Great
You have
area.
Quite a few places over in Spring Valley, and you even have some places over here in Silverado Ranch off the 215. So you're not in Summerlin. You're not going to be in Green Valley.
Yeah, because
right?
that's one of the hard things. And obviously this is going to change, because this is the most important part. First is making sure, can we even afford the house?
course.
Can I, the content creator, afford the house? That's the whole point of this. But a hard negotiable is we don't want to live on the east side. We don't want to live by Nellis. We don't, and even for her, she doesn't want to live too far from her mom, and her mom lives Craig and Rancho area. But but even still, the map I'm seeing is still
yeah.
everything that we've looked at before, and we're okay, this is good for us.
And I want to go back real quick. And we're building a plan for Austin to where he can buy in February.
Yeah, that's
That's the
currently
plan right
the goal.
now. That's
is
kind of the trajectory.
Yeah.
The other thing, Brandon, when you talk about townhome and condo, that is part of the payment. So that has to, you want an HOA.
yeah.
Aha! I knew you would say that, Bill,
I
because we've worked so
said
far
it.
together.
And I have a great HOA lawyer that has also been on the show.
When I did his mortgage calculator, I actually included an $80 to $100 mortgage
Beautiful.
HOA payment into his mortgage, just to account for what he'd be paying.
And you
for.
told me, Bill told me when we first, and this was back when I was at the old studio, you were like, I don't want you having any HOA over $150 a month.
No,
Yeah.
no, it makes a big difference on what you can afford, actually.
Yeah. We actually had a really good question over on the YouTube. If you guys want to ask questions, make sure you jump in on the YouTube live. We started about 10 a.m. and then you guys can jump in, have your questions asked. Joy says, what do you recommend when a homeowner wants to move to a new house but has not paid all the mortgage? Can we rent out the old home or Airbnb it, or can we use the equity to fix the old home?
It's a very good question. Yes, you can keep your old home and go buy a new home. And generally what we do on the payment, because that's a debt, right?
Yeah.
As long as we will take 75% of the rent to offset your mortgage payment. So as an example, if you rented your property for $2,000 and your mortgage payment was $1,500, there's no payment counted against you in terms of debt to income.
Yep.
So that's easy.
To answer your question from a realtor's perspective, can you afford the new payments without taking equity out of the old home? If yes, then fantastic. You are in a great life projection. Go ahead and buy that new home. Take the equity from the house that you own currently and use it to either pay down the mortgage to an incredibly low rate, or call Bill and buy discount points to lower your rate. If you're going to rent out the house, your goal is to lower your mortgage to as small of number as possible. That way you're profiting as much as possible, right? Because now we show more income, we show less debt, which makes it a lot easier for you to qualify for the second home.
Yeah, and I'm seeing both. I'm seeing some people keep it with the low interest rate, but I'm also seeing a lot of people selling the house, paying off some debt, moving it into a new house, and doing well that way too.
Yeah, 100%. If you're someone who bought a house from like 2020, 2021, 2019, where you have both low interest rates and incredible amounts of equity, go ahead and rent out that previous house.
Right.
Take your equity, buy another house, and just start making profit. You bought at a perfect time, and it's time for you to make money from that good decision, right?
And people are putting reserves in their account too.
Yeah.
So they sleep better at night.
So they sleep better at night. And
a nice feeling.
That's ultimately where we want Austin to get to, right?
Yes.
That's ultimately your goal is for this. And this is why when we broke down your areas, we're not just making sure we're putting areas that are safe for you and your kid, but I'm trying to put you guys in an area that I believe is profitable, will gain equity over the next 5 years, high developing areas like the Northwest, the Southwest. That way in 4 to 5 years, if you guys look up, your job keeps paying you more money, you can say, honey, we can afford the house you wanted the whole time.
Right.
We can rent this out and go get the house that you really wanted. That's our
Right.
ultimate goal for you. It's not just
Yeah.
providing you a house. It's providing you a house that's going to make you money.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one of the selling points of buying a home is the fact that you can get equity out of it. It's a investment that can grow, arguably some more than others. But yeah, no, ideally that's one of the several reasons why I want to be a homeowner and not a peasant and a renter.
And Brandon, what are the 3 most important things about real estate when you're
Location, and where your wife wants to live.
Yep. I would say that's number 1.
Which is location.
Pretty good.
Well, I love this. She goes, hey, actually, I hate it too. I don't even know why I thought I liked it.
And here's the thing. Typically, I'm the big sexist, misogynist guy of the show. But I will tell every guy watching, if you don't have a wife, take your girlfriend. If you don't have a girlfriend, take your mom. If you don't, for some reason, your mom can't come, take a girlfriend that you have. When you go looking for houses, take a woman with you. If she says this area sucks or feels unsafe, do not buy a house there. I'm dead serious.
love it.
I'm
What
dead
do you mean
ass.
I can't buy on D Street, Brandon?
Honey, it's so cheap. It's only $125,000. Yeah, okay. And there's a homeless encampment living in your backyard, right? Like, take your wife, girlfriend, sister, cousin, whatever, take them with you. Because wherever they feel safe and comfortable, other women feel safe and comfortable, and that's an area that's going to make you money. So if your wife says this house is shit, trust me, brother, just move on for your sanity and your bank account.
Yeah, more so the sanity. 'Cause what's the point of having the bank account if you're insane?
But one of the big things you said, and we joke about it and we laugh about it because it's easier to laugh than cry, is feeling like a peasant sucks.
It does.
Right? Feeling like, and I know your situation, right? And feeling like someone has power over you or someone's allowed to interfere with your life and your decisions. It's like life is already hard enough.
Yep.
Having that other person you already have a boss who has power over you. The government has power. All these people seem to have power over you, right? And getting one of them removed always feels so refreshing. It feels so liberating.
Yeah.
I love the fact that Austin said, I want to have a place of my own so that you can actually paint. You can put pictures up.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
I can walk around naked in my own house.
Walk
Who's gonna tell
around-
me? Who's gonna tell me no?
I want to walk around butt-ass naked
naked.
in my own house, and no one can tell me anything about that.
Until
love
the
that.
missus is like, put some clothing. Like, yes. All right. Well, the game's over.
Austin, thank you for letting us dive into your finances like this publicly. Thank
Yeah.
you for being so open this, being the first person. I hope this inspires other people to be more comfortable to come to a live consultation with us. Is there any question you had before the consultation that you didn't get answered?
Well, we have this question right here, real quick.
This is a good question.
Joy says, so if I bought my old house at $167,000 and now it's at $250,000 and we want to sell it, how much money do we get out of selling it? Well, Joy, that's a deep question that comes with a lot of things because there's sellers commissions, there's buyers commissions. A lot of it's negotiable. You have county fees, escrow fees, title fees, a lot of things. Joy, if you would like a hyper-specific number called a net sheet, please do me a favor. Fill out the real estate form in my bio. Our videographer is going to send it to you right now. And we are going to get every answer that you need immediately. Or just text me directly, contact me directly. But to answer your question would take a really long time. And we've already taken up a really long amount of people's time.
You can be next on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have a reach out to BillGaylor.com.
Yeah, so you could be next. But so I do have, I mean, and maybe it's more of a blanketed question, but we've kind of gone over everything already. But maybe something we haven't discussed yet on what else I could be doing to even further. Because, like, ideally, I don't want to come into this and just scrape by.
Oh, can we do a TikTok clippable?
Yeah.
Another one.
All right.
Well, this whole episode is TikTok clippables. It's just how brave you are to edit.
If you are a Gen Z home buyer and you are looking for the best tip that you can get to afford a house, here it is. Stop spending so much goddamn money. Okay? Stop hating your money. You work too hard for it to turn around and give it away to a subscription, television, Starbucks, Netflix. You want to say, oh, it's only $5. What does it really matter? $5 a day times 7 days a week is $35. Times 4 weeks a month is what, $130 times 12 months. You're looking at $1,500 in Starbucks. So $5 does add up. Uber Eats does add up. Going to the bar does add up. Drinking with friends does add up. We're not telling you to not have any life. You have to have a life. You have kids, you have family, you have things to do. But you have to decide, what are you going to sacrifice? You cannot keep living a renter lifestyle and be a homeowner. At some point, you have to decide you're going to switch and you're going to sacrifice. So that would be ultimately my advice for you. Figure out what and where you can sacrifice without putting your family, obviously, in a bad situation.
I tried the whole no food thing, but you can't get away with that.
Just eat oatmeal. It should be fine.
I do love oatmeal. Oatmeal's good. Oatmeal and then ramen together.
Can't stand oatmeal.
You power eat your meal once a day. It's all you need. You save money.
That's some like Egyptian. That's some like Egyptian slave shit, dude.
Green beans.
Green beans.
Go green.
Go green. Don't go to Whole Foods. Definitely don't go to Whole Foods if you're trying to be a homeowner.
Yeah, a whole paycheck, right? Any final tips you could give people?
The only thing that I would say is very much along your lines. Just create better spending habits.
Yeah.
And understand, do a budget, look at what you make every month and what you spend every month, and are there things that you could cut out.
Long story short, quit being a bitch and man up. All right.
All right.
Austin, thank you for your time. Alexandra, not Alex. Tell them where they can find you.
And Alexandra Harbushka on Instagram.
You should change it to Alexandra, not Alex. I'm telling you.
Right? I bet there's someone else.
Not Alex. I think that would be good.
Bill, where can they find you?
BillGaylord.com.
Austin,
Yeah.
you're a content creator.
Oh, yeah.
Tell them where they can find you.
It's a couple of places. So you can find me on Instagram, my personal one at Alvarez Production or Alvarez Prod LV. That's where I post all of this stuff, all of my personal stuff. If you are into the like paranormal and stuff like that, that's my bread and butter. I have 2 channels. I have the Truly Bizarre, where I do paranormal investigations. There's some big news coming with that in the coming months. I'll tell you guys off air. But also I have a weekly live call-in show. Think of Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell. We do the same thing here. It's called Calls from Beyond. And every Tuesday night at 5 p.m., we let people call in and tell us their creepy stories. It gets really crazy. We had a lady tell us about her experience with the Annabelle doll last week. So that was pretty crazy. But that's mainly my main 3 places you can find me. Truly Bizarre, Alvarez Prod LV on Instagram, and Calls from Beyond on all platforms.
Hell yeah. And I'm Brandon from Vegas. You just throw me in your Google and all the stupid stuff will pop up. You go ahead and watch me eat food or watch me sell houses. We do all the above. If you guys want the live class, we do it live on TikTok and YouTube at 10 a.m. If you want the nighttime class, we do a nighttime real estate class at about 6:30 to 7 o'clock. Or on Thursdays, you can hop here on YouTube Live and ask your questions, get them answered. We would love to have a live consultation with you guys. So if you guys are watching and you want to join in, leave us a comment below. You can be the next guest for our live consultation next month.
It's a lot of fun.
It's
We
a lot
give
of
you free
fun.
water. There's some benefits.
It's a cool studio.
It's a cool
a
studio.
cool
You get
studio.
to hang out with us.
They'll give
You
you a
get
hat,
free
so-
water.
Make sure to say Vegas local if they're.
How about this? Matter of fact, if you come on the show,
Vegas locals.
Vegas locals, I will take you to lunch after. Deal?
Whoa.
Deal. All right.
That's a big deal to
That
go.
is
Wait,
a
where are we
big
going
deal.
today then?
You ain't getting shit. I'm Brandon from Vegas, and